It was a horrible, long, gloomy day. After finishing the funeral of my beloved mother, I came home only to receive a letter from my long lost father. Here is the letter written down below. Hello, you probably don't remember me very well. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. You were in high school, I think, when I came back for a day to finalize my divorce from your mother. I remember your look of hatred and contempt. You still hate me, don't you? I'm sorry I left you, but God, I couldn't be around you anymore. You were a kid when I ran away. Do you remember? Of course not. I'm an old fool. Sorry I keep asking the question. You still hate me for abandoning you and your mother, for not taking you with me. I doubt you'll even read this after all these years, but I hope so, for your own sake and for mine redemption. You have been working a lot probably, and spending a lot of time working and building your career. Do you have any family? I would like to meet my grandchildren, but I can't. I'm scared. I'm afraid of her. Is your mother still alive? God, I'm sorry. My mind is going crazy as I write this. Please finish my letter. It's very important for you to read it completely and listen to my words. I was afraid to write when you were a child because of your mother. She would have read it before you. You wouldn't have known the truth. I should have taken you with me. God, I should have taken you, but I chickened out. I hate myself for it. I wish I protected you. Damn selfish man. Your mother shouldn't read this, so please don't ever show it to her. Don't tell her. Do you remember your childhood? How I ran away? What did your mother say to you after I left? I think she blamed me for all my sins. I think she said I left for a better life or a young, pretty girl. No, I didn't. Not really. I ran away out of fear of being around her. I don't think it's still her. I doubt she's the one, and she's the woman that I married. She's not the same person. Something bad happened to her. You were a wanted child. You tried for a long time to conceive and were insanely happy when the doctors reported you. The labor was hard, terribly hard and long. They lasted dozens of hours. You were transferred to a room and I went home that night to get some sleep. After a few months, we were already living like a normal, happy young family. I worked hard, your mother looked after you and made me delicious pumpkin pies on Friday. Life seemed so happy, so graceful, and so enjoyable, until I woke up one Friday night to you crying. Mom wasn't around, but I didn't find her in your room either. I had to calm you down first, and only 20 minutes later I was able to go out and look for her. She wasn't in the house, but all her things, including her shoes, were still there. Of course I called the cops, but you know, cops don't care and usually they do not help the situation at all. I cried madly and I kept crying and praying to God to bring my beloved back. But God didn't hear me. God didn't hear my prayers. But the devil did. She came back on the third damning day. On that night, I woke up to hear someone wheezing nearby. Right at my ear, I turned around. It was your mother. She looked strange. Something about her had changed. My brain refused to believe it was her. It was like it was a failed plastic replica of her. Something was terribly wrong with her physical appearance. I screamed and jumped out of the bed and she just laughed. How funny you are, darling. A squeaky laugh, not unlike the sweet and humble one I had heard before from my beloved wife. The screaming and the laughing caught my hearing. Who the devil are you? Oh, silly. To hell with your jokes. It lay down next to me and hugged me tightly. I shuddered with fear. The sensation, her skin, her body temperature. It was all wrong. It was all off. The smell, everything was different. Everything was artificial. Someone replaced your mother that night, darling. They replaced her with a doll, a living, breathing doll. It was so sinister, but it didn't show. I lay there, still motionless, time flowing terrifyingly slow. The creature pretended to be asleep. It certainly wasn't sleeping, just checking on me, waiting for me to relax, to kill me. I was sure of it. Cold sweat ran down my forehead, but my body was burning. If someone had tried to take my temperature at that moment, I think the thermometer would have broken. The creature got up as soon as it started to get light outside. It got up and went out with slow, shuffling steps. It was walking and I knew it was coming your way. I jumped up and screamed, begging it not to touch you. It turned around, it smirked, the widest smile I had ever seen on a human being face. The most unnatural and disgusting, shivering my skin all around me. The creature turned and continued shuffling toward the nursery. God, in a minute I grabbed all my papers and some of my stuff and just ran. I ran past the ajar nursery when I heard you crying. I was a coward. You have every right to hate me for that. Anyone would have hated me. I ran away, ran out of the door, and just ran. I ran dozens of blocks before I switched to a brisk step. I kept turning around. I was afraid it was following me, but it didn't. I got to the bus stop and waited for the first morning bus, and just left for the train station and then out of town. I thought of you every day. I wanted to pick you up, but I was afraid. And the more time passed, the more doubts I had. After many years, I stopped being afraid. I just forgot. I lived for a long time in the homeless shelter and worked odd jobs until I finally got into a good firm with steady paycheck. I was able to rent a house. I was glad sometimes on the street I would see dolls like the one that replaced your mother with. They have glass eyes, they smell like plastic, their teeth are perfect, so is their hair, skin and nails, but it's unnatural. It's not delicate, it's not good. It shivers, it makes that unnasty thing. They all look like freaking Barbies. As soon as I saw people like that, I run across the road, get out of the elevator, sometimes hide under the desk. Fortunately, such encounters were rare and rare. Once I met a woman, a real, live person. A few months later, we decided to get married. She got pregnant. I quickly found all the old papers, even the bills for the first dorm room. And suddenly I realized that the divorce from your mother had never been formalized. I shuddered. I experienced the same primal terror as I had that night. I talked myself for hours just to call her. I was so afraid. I think I should explain myself. I guess you thought it was the first time in so many years that I had the courage to divorce her because of another woman. But I never worried about you. Oh, I did worry about you. I was always following you, always reading the news about you, looking at your school's websites, followed you on social media, followed your friends, their families. I have always been following you. The internet is a great place and a great thing to follow. I pulled myself together and called your old number. Beep, another and another. Someone picked up the phone. Hello? I heard a joyful voice on the other end of the line. Your mother's voice, just like before. I cried for several minutes and she was silent. It hit me. Is it her? It couldn't be her. Had this monster learned how to pretend to be her? I need a divorce. I blurted out before I could think. Oh, a divorce? Sure, come over. Her voice turned abruptly cold and detached when she realized it was me calling. That sentence made me shake even more. God, I was afraid. I asked my friend to come with me, and I lied to him about my hysterical wife and that I needed a witness just in case. He agreed and we drove over. We agreed to meet right on the spot. She brought you too. Said you wanted to see me. I almost cried. I wanted to pick you up. God grab your hand and take you away from that monster. But I was afraid. She didn't blink. She looked into my eyes and didn't blink. It was as if she could read my mind. She signed all the documents without questioning. Silently took your hand and led you away. I looked away and cried. A friend patted me on the shoulder and drove the rest of the way. I cried for weeks after that, and all that years after that. 2 days ago, I got a call from your mother's sister. She was crying, saying your mother had died of a heart attack. I was happy. I cried with happiness for the first time in many decades. And then I realized it will come back. Run as far away as possible. You must run away. It will come back tonight. But you need not fear, sunshine. I'm right here. I will save you from the monster. Hello everyone. Thank you for your amazing support on the last video and the channel itself. Please remember to subscribe and like. And also, if we hit 30 likes on the last video and 100 views, I will release the final part. Also, a great thanks to the author of this amazing story, Stetoda. Please follow the link below and go give her love, and also follow her on Reddit. Have a great night, and this is Dr.